Yes.
How was that?
Oh, incredible. Vince Papale, he's the man. Like, I love that movie, and so just to see him, it's just like, wow. It was cool. It's really neat.
Like, what did he tell you guys? Like, what was kind of the message?
I think the biggest message was he kind of told us all his life story, and a lot of there's similarities with the movie, but more of all his mindset with it all, and how you should never forget about your dreams. Just chase your dreams, and it was really cool. Like, because you watch the movie, and you kind of like think this is how he is, and then you meet him in person, and it kind of exceeds all the expectations. It's like, wow, that's neat.
How accurate was Mark Wahlberg in portraying Vince Papale?
Well, he was, I think he did a good job, but yeah, just meeting him in person though it was special.
So is he a BYU fan now?
Oh, I think he is. Yeah, that was the cool part. It's like, okay, another BYU fan.
Does it feel good to be a game week finally, though?
Yeah. There's so much preparation for this, and so it's nice to kind of have that feeling like, okay, we're set, we're in the season mode. It's not fall camp, it's a separate thing.
What do you guys have to do? I mean, this is first game, so there's always going to be some things to iron out. What do you have to do to be ready for Saturday?
I think most of all is just the mentality. It's all mental game, this first game, because like you said, there's so many, everyone's going to make little mistakes here and there. Everyone's going to get really hyped up for it and just make some mental errors. But if we can keep those mental errors down, then that'll be huge for us.
You're playing a team that doesn't have the name recognition of some of the teams you'll play in future weeks. And the coaches, have been pointing to this game, emphasizing it the whole time. How hard is it to not sneak a peek at what's coming around the corner, though, when you know it's Portland State as opposed to LSU and Utah and some of the other teams?
I think it's actually been fairly easy. And the reason why is, like you said, the coaches, and it starts with them. And there's so much preparation going into this game, this first game. There's so much focus on that. It's like we don't have time to focus on anyone else. If maybe I sit back and think about it, then it's like, oh yeah, we do play LSU and Utah and all these teams. But, we're just so locked in right now that it's almost like you would never notice.
What have you seen from Portland State's offense?
I think one of the big things we see is their quarterback's pretty mobile. He's a young guy. He's smaller, but he's very mobile. And so that's going to be one of our things is containing him.
Have you heard the term Barney Ball at all?
Barney Ball? I have not.
That's what they call their head coach. He calls his offense Barney Ball.
Really? I just think of the big purple dinosaur, man.
Fair enough.
How does your readiness for this season maybe compare to past seasons where you've just been able to focus? It's just football.
It's been really nice, and the past seasons I was definitely, prepared. You prepare just as hard every year, or if not harder every year. But I think not having anything in the back of my mind has been really nice. So it's just complete focus.
Is it just more a mental thing, or do you feel physically been better able to do that?
I think physically it's been great too, because there's a huge difference between, being in basketball shape or coming off of basketball shape and then thinking that you have to go back to it. Whereas like this year, it's like I know exactly what I need to do, and so got to get my body to it.
Corbin, any scouting reports or any film that you've been able to do on Portland State to kind of gauge what kind of offense they run and kind of what you expect from that offense overall?
Yeah, we've done a little bit of Portland State prep, and I think we're going to do a lot more throughout the week, but we've looked at a lot of their formations that they do. They run things that we didn't see a ton of last year in the teams that we played, and so kind of like they get a lot in the pistol, and they run a lot of zones.
So describe Barney Ball. What is that exactly?
To be honest, I have no idea. Like,
what did you see on film, or what did you kind of just get a gauge of?
I think they run a lot of downhill runs. They're not trying to stretch it out too far. They're trying to get straight through the gap as fast as they can and come downhill with speed. And so that's going to be a big thing with us, is making sure that the middle is taken care of and we make them bounce it outside more.
Tight ends, 22 set, 21 set, spread.
Yeah, a lot of 12, a lot of 21, stuff like that.
How much of last year's performance from the defense and how well you guys played, how much of the confidence you gained last year has carried over into the last 4 weeks of camp and heading into week 1?
I think there's been a lot of confidence that has carried over, but at the same time, there's this kind of humility with it, where we know that it's never given to us, and so every year you have to prove yourself. And so it's nice to look back and think, okay, this is what we did last year, and then it's like, okay, what's the bar going to be this year? Like, we were here, which is great, but let's see what we can do up here.
What are some of the things where you've seen this defense take those next steps over the last couple of weeks?
I think one of the big things is just meshing with the whole team together, now that we've been able to practice together and getting guys used to playing with each other, because a lot of times it's easy to say, oh, the D-line does their own thing, the linebackers do their own thing, and then the secondary. But it's a whole different thing when you get in there together and everyone kind of plays off of each other a little bit more, and you get used to tendencies by some of the linebackers or some of the corners. So that's been really nice for us.
Do you like having games come up when you still don't have school yet?
Oh yeah, it's great. You know, when school comes, it's like you got to focus on schoolwork and then remember about the game. But right now, it's just like, can't wait for the game, you know?
There you go.